Alright, so here's the Prelude Fog Lights. You can see this one's got the trim on it. I just took the trim off of this just because it's kind of fragile. I just don't want to break it, but I will end up using it. And I took this top bracket off here because the top bracket right now is coming forward. I won't be able to shove this fog light in deep enough to use this, so I'll probably have to just fab another top bracket that'll come off here going backwards. So using the old bumper that I have, granted this fog light whole area is cut out huge, but if you see, it doesn't take much persuading to get it in there. And if you look on the back side, you can see how that bracket kind of comes out on top. And if you look on the back side, you can see how that bracket just comes out on top, and I could angle it and do other things as I need. So with that in like that, you can kind of see the little winglet there that comes off the bumper there, the bumper support or whatever. I'm going to basically just stick this through the fog light hole and have it attached to that. I'll have to again just probably build a bracket that goes the opposite direction as this. So what I really need to do is just figure out where to mount that thing or where to drill it. So I mean, that's the hole, the pocket there, and you can see obviously I cut out a ton of the pocket. I don't need to cut all that out just because I don't want any of this crazy excess shining there. And I should be able to potentially run this black trim still. If not, it is what it is. Let's see. All right, I'm a goof and had it on time lapse, but basically just took a paint pen, went all around the back of it there, kind of bumped it in there and went over to the edge, and you can kind of see it put a yellow mark right there. So what I'm going to start by doing is simply taking a hole saw and drilling out the diameter of that, and we're going to kind of go from there. All right, so this is a 2-inch hole saw, and when I stick it in there, it just like basically just fits in the diameter from the edge of this scratch here and up here. So I'm going to get it right next to, as close as I can to the yellow dot. Basically just going to go right on the edge here. Alright, so the hole is drilled, but feeding the wires through it, and so I can't even, that right there is me pushing it as far as I can in, and it's sticking out from the front bumper. I don't want that. I want it as recessed in there as I can kind of get it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some paint stuff up here, and I'm going to see where it's hitting up on here, because even if it touches here or up here a little bit, I'm okay with trimming that, because ultimately when this is in there, you're not going to see it. So I know it's going to be somewhere around here. Just going to throw some paint on it. I know it's going to be somewhere around here. I'll wipe all this off after the fact. I just need to get a clear indication of what's actually rubbing here. Kind of pushing it on it. Oh wow. So you can kind of see where it's already, you can see it's already kind of touching like up here and up there. All right. All right, she is in and it looks good. So I still need to spray it yellow, obviously, but you can kind of see, I'll show you again when we do the other side, but I'm not very proud of that, but I kind of misdrilled it. But she fits, corner light fits, and she's in there solid. The only thing it does not fit now, right now, is here's like the trim that goes around it. I have to trim out more of the bumper. But I'll be honest, I really don't necessarily hate it the way it looks right now. So I think I'm just gonna leave it alone for the moment, and we'll go from there, because I could always add the trim back to it. All right, so seeing how big the opening I had to make to get it to fit snug, I'm going to change a little bit of things that we did here. Last time, I basically just drilled with a 2-inch hole saw right on the edge there after marking it. I'm going to essentially do that again, but then I'm going to do a second one, and then I'm going to step down to a 1 3/4 and put a hole in there again, just to kind of help speed some things up here. And then after that, honestly, it's literally just a bunch of just dremeling and shoving it in there until it fits. So what I do recommend is leaving this bracket on here, obviously, because the bracket's going to go in there with it, right? So you might as well just leave it on there. So that's essentially what I'm just gonna do now, and enjoy just watching me hack at it here. So while I'm trimming it, it's kind of hard maybe to see like what's touching and whatnot, so I'm just taking a light and putting it on the back side. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. I'm kind of just trying to push it into its spot, and then I'm kind of just looking around it. Basically following the light all the way around it and just kind of looking to see where does light not shine through. So like right now there's no light coming through right here in this corner, and the light's underneath it, so I know I need to trim that area a little bit more. Alright, so now that the fog lights fit, I still need to do some tweakings with, like, as far as the height adjustment is concerned, but let me wire them up now. So for those of you that did not watch my last fog light install video, which is not of these fog lights, this is what I'm working with right now. I kind of have it hanging down, but you can see I've got this wire, which has it's a female end, and it routes underneath the car, and there's a little clip in there. You may have been able to see it in other videos. And the driver's side also has said same wire. You can see I loomed it all, and it is basically spliced in there, and then it routes all the way up, and it goes into the cabin. So basically they shared the same power wire, and they each had their individual own ground wires. Basically make the exact same wire now, just for ground. So they'll share the same ground, same power. Power goes into the cabin, which we'll get to later. And the ground, I'm gonna have them just share the same ground, and it's just gonna mount to the, I'm gonna put it in the frame rail over here. So first off, this is how this this is how this actual fog light came. Has some connectors on it. Cool, whatever. The other one actually has the OEM clip, but I'm gonna cut these off pretty much as close as I can to the end here, and I'm gonna add actual male connectors to them. That way it'll just match what's on my car already. All right, so I grabbed some red wire just so I can keep the idea of, I just know red is power and black is ground. I don't need a ton of extra wire here. I just want a little bit extra, that way so it's not so close, and it is what it is. I guess it'll show itself later why I want to add just a little bit of wire. The harness comes up pretty much to the fog light already that I have in the car that I made, but if I could get it just a little bit extra reach, nothing's, you know, being pulled on. Cover that with some heat shrink. Take your lighter, torch, whatever. So if you've watched any of my other videos of wiring stuff, I pretty much stick to this stuff. You can find it all over Amazon. This is a 1/4 inch I'm going to use just because it's a single wire. I'm just going to wrap it in the, just for the power. Don't need much. Slide this a little bit up. I'm going to kind of cover that too. Alright, so we've got our positive now. I did the other one too. Now I'm just going to take a ground. Basically do the same exact thing. The only thing different that I'm going to do is I'm going to make the connector at the end the opposite. So this is a male end. I'm going to use a female end over here. That way there's also, besides the fact that I can just look and see, okay, that one's red, I could rip the sleeving off of this and just make it all black, the covering, when I put the heat shrink over it and stuff. But the other way of not being able to mix them up is essentially to change the connector types. So in theory, and I know when I go down to the car, besides looking at the colors, there won't be any, you know, misconception of which color is what, or which plug goes to where, because they only plug in one direction. All right, so you can see it there. There's a clamp right there. I've got my wastegate hoses going through there, and also my power wire goes all the way underneath. Comes out to this clamp here. I'm basically just gonna undo these and feed the ground wire through, so it's all just nice and tidy. And I'll kind of hang next to this other power wire. All right, so here's the ground wire. And here's the power wire over here on the driver's side. So I'm gonna stick it up through here. Just get a quick rough measurement of how much wire I need. Stick it through this side. Now basically I matched it with the end of my power wire, so it's about the same length. Make that a little more taut. Put my hand here, so here it is the same length as this wire now. What I'm going to do is, and I'm going to come around, I'm just going to mount it at one of these holes here that I drilled in the chassis, give it a little bit of slack, and then we'll be able to splice off of here too and come out for the actual ground. So I'm going to go right about where my hand is there. Alright, so now I've got some D-ring terminals. Just going to solder that on there. Alright, they're the same length. Rounded it all in there for the time being, just temporarily. Here's the D-ring. It'll nicely be able to bolt up to one of these holes that are already here. And I'm gonna just Sharpie or mark it right about there. That's where I'm gonna splice in at. Alright, so there it is marked with the yellow again. I'm just gonna kind of open it up a little bit. Wrap this around here. Slide the heat shrink over it. Alright, still using the 1/4 inch. This stuff does expand, so I'll be able to get over this. So just kind of get a rough idea how much I need here. Up until the join. So I'm going to cut it right up until there, and I'll throw some heat shrink over that. See how it kind of just expands like that? Then once you get there, you're like, oh, I can't push it. Kind of just grab both ends. Grab here firmly, push forward. Then I hold this. You basically, if you get it in your hand, you'll understand it. You're basically going to just walk it through like so. Alright, and there it is. So it's all loomed up. All pretty looking. Again, these are going to go to the actual fog lights. This is going to go to the chassis, and they're just going to share the same harness. So there it is from that point of view. You can see the bucket's all cut out. My 2 wires are down here, and my screws coming in through the top. So you can just kind of throw a wrench in from the corner light or the front bumper light and just tighten it up. There's my ground wire going up there that I tied in all the way around. And here's the ground wire connected to that. And this is my power wire that already ran over to the other side. And if it follows all the way up, it goes up inside the car. So I made the connectors so you really couldn't mess them up. So I'm just going to plug them in there. Alright, so here's the fog light switch I was running before, if you watched my old DLA fog light video. And I liked it, it kind of lit up. It was just kind of cool. It said fog light, so I liked it. But since then I have moved to a simple little switch like this for my fan for an override. My A11 pin on the ECU just, I don't know, decided not to work, so my fan override didn't work, and the stock cooling fan switch turns on at like $1.99. So I like just being able to override and turn the fan on whenever I want. So generic little simple switch, a little less connectors than the old one had too. So if you already haven't bought or looked at anything from Greg Parts, here's a little brochure, just kind of came with sticker, blah, blah. It makes all kinds of little 3D print parts for CRXs. So bought a little dash template there. I think I bought 2 extra ones, but so I'm just going to kind of drill a hole in this so I can mount this in there. Alright, so the hole is drilled. Here's the switch. Simply just slide it through real easy. This is just some basic switch. You just kind of get an AutoZone, Amazon, just a simple 3-way switch. So in this case, the top one, LED, top prong is the ground. So kind of like I've done everything, I just soldered a connector down here, and I put a ring terminal on there. Alright. And the middle wire is actually what's going to go to the fog lights, and the bottom wire is what's going to go to the fuse box. So I rigged up 2 other just simple wires here. Heat shrunk, soldered them together. Kind of really doesn't matter in this case which one goes where. And I'm just going to simply slide that over now. Again, it kind of expands, which is kind of convenient. Whoop. Might be kind of hard to see, the sun's kind of going down, but it just looks good. In my opinion, it does. So let's see what they look like on. So it's a mess right down here because I'm hooking all kinds of stuff up for another video as well. But so just kind of ground this just straight up there and just sort of ground this to anything you can find. All right, so I've been using these in previous videos. If you haven't seen them, there's like a little tie-in for a fuse box. So I'm going to tie this into the sunroof relay. So the first fuse there is my 30 amp for the sunroof relay, and this 20 amp is for the fog lights right now. I'll probably downgrade to a 15. I just don't have one at the moment. And it's got a little connector soldered onto it. Again, excuse all these wires. This is a temp hookup for something else for a future video you'll see here. But in regards to this wire coming in right here is what's for my fog lights. So this doesn't connect to this. I could have changed the connector on this, which I may do. At the moment though, as of right now, I just got two connectors here. So I'm just gonna put this back in the spot for the sunroof there. And this wire is hot now that it's plugged in. So definitely don't let it touch anything to you. You'll have to tape it up without a doubt. So I don't know which one of these was the actual wire to the fog light positive, which is kind of my error. So I'm just gonna we'll find out. Actually, we'll leave the fog light unplugged and we will, ooh, doesn't want to reach because of the ground. All right, so it's just kind of plugged in right there for right now. This is the wire that goes out to the fog lights. This should be to the accessory of it. And in theory now, so the sunroof is always active. If I just flip the switch. All right, so street lights are on. The GoPro's kind of making it look a little lighter. The sun's like just behind those houses. It's like definitely a little past dusk. So here we are. That's my headlights. Get a little view from here. They are bright. This is those bulbs I recommended in my overview video. I can turn those off. I can turn just the fog lights on. And it looks like, I'm just judging basically these lines on the ground, that they're pretty actually almost level already. They might need to come up a little bit, actually. Hell yeah. Let's see what they look like with the headlights. And just because there's brights. Not that I'm probably ever gonna be driving like this, or the GoPro is gonna, you know, actually show it. So, and with that little switch now, there'll be a little red light here lit up in the dash. So it is what it is. Just flip it off, and the fog lights are off. Awesome. All right, so there's the fog light. There's kind of the front end. You can see I kind of left it so you got a little bit of some clamp exposure there on the side of the intercooler, and another clamp over there, and yeah, I think it came out beautiful. Super happy with how it came out. Is it worth all the effort to have a smaller intercooler, cut less on the bumper, install, you know, new intercooler, whatever, blah, 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 just for some fog lights? I don't know, maybe not to you, but right now I am super digging what the front end looks like, so to me, it definitely is. And the car, you know, whatever, still makes good power, made better power than it did before. Not saying the intercooler was the sole source of that, but that's whatever. So if you do follow me on Instagram, yes, the fog lights have been installed for a little bit. I'm just now getting around to fully getting it together because I wanted to present the video with the painted bumper and just the front end together. So that was what was taking me some time, but there it is, it's together now. I just need to figure out if the height of them while driving is at the right height. They're basically at the same height now. And to adjust the height, if you look at that bracket that was on top of them, all you had to do is just loosen the two side nuts or side bolts, and you would move the bracket forward or back. And that would, as you tighten it, let's say move it back and tighten it into the actual support how I did, it would just pick the, you know, the headlight up or down basically, or the fog light would move it up or down. So I'm gonna get up early tomorrow to go to work, and it'll be dark out. I'm gonna put them on. We'll see how it works out and just how it is. So there is that. So the wire underneath the dash, and before anybody freaks out about it, there is some temp stuff going on down there that I will tidy up with some loom and whatnot in the next video. And I'm just gonna tell you, it is for an aim dash. The aim dash is already in the car. It is temp installed. There's some stuff I got to do to it. Some of you may have caught that in the dyno video. I got a message or two about it asking where'd my gauge cluster go. Yeah, it didn't go anywhere. I still have it. I just put an aim dash in the car. So that is going to be the next video. Just got some other stuff that I've been doing. Like this is a buddy's. It's going to be his K24 TSX motored, boosted eventually. EK. I kind of just sprayed at this. I don't know. It looks like a Tahitian green. CRX color. It's a beautiful color. He bought it. It's Restoration Shop's acrylic enamel, teal green metallic. It wasn't very glossy afterwards, so I kind of sprayed some of the clear coat that I have that I've been spraying on stuff. It does need to be buffed a little bit. There is a little more orange peel than I would have liked in it, but it came out pretty dang good. And I really like the color. So there's stuff like that. I don't know if you guys are interested in seeing stuff like that. It's not necessarily on my car, but I'm sure I'll have stuff on his car in the future. I haven't filmed anything of it. I've just been aiding him in putting it together, just sort of teaching him things like, here's how you gap rings on this. We do one cylinder, and then I let him do 2, 3, and 4. Valve adjustment, here's how you do one valve adjustment, and he does the rest. So that way he can kind of just learn to do it himself, and it's the way it is. And I'm happy. I'm not that old, but he's 23, 24. So I'm happy that he's, you know, willing to put effort into building a car and a motor. That's just good. I'm happy for that, instead of just, you know, everyone just being all hands off nowadays on things. So there's that. Maybe you'll see that in the future, but next video will definitely be an aim dash. And then after that, I think I'm gonna start tackling the front splitter. It's basically just gonna be wood. I'm just not gonna tell you straight up. I'm gonna be something very similar to what Garage Built Hondas did. He has a perfect tutorial on it, except for I'm not gonna use any of the garden edging. I'm just gonna use a piece of wood and make a front splitter out of it, and potentially a piece of 1/8" steel. Just have 2 pieces, you know, whatever. And the 1/8" steel will kind of be more for the track, and it'll be just a weight plate essentially that's removable quick. So there's all that. Enough rambling as usual. Again, I could probably talk for 45 minutes, but I appreciate everybody for watching as usual. Do leave a comment down below if you got any comments or questions, concerns, whatever the case may be, or message me on Instagram and I'll chat there too. I'm pretty much open book about the car or whatever else, not hiding anything on it. So just ask away. Again, appreciate everybody for following. It's just super awesome. I'll never be able to get over. Again, I gave the inspiration to somebody else, and that was the overall goal of this, and I have done that, and I'll just continue to keep doing that as long as I can, at least. So, last time, I appreciate everybody for watching. You guys have a good week.